Hello, Jonathan Landeros, and welcome to KETIV's Autodesk Manufacturing Academy video on creating and placing an iPart. Here, I have this plastic bin, and I'm going to create variations in width, in color, and I'm also going to remove these bosses in some of the steps. And an iPart is the perfect candidate to go ahead and do this. So how do we take this single variation and turn it into an iPart? To open up my iPart author, I'm going to go to the Manage tab and choose Create iPart. And this will open up the iPart author where I can go ahead and begin to build the variations for my iPart. Now any parameters that were renamed will automatically become candidates that can be changed and will be added to the table. I actually don't want all of these. I only want the ones pertaining to width. So I'm going to remove some of these dimensions. And I'll only leave two. One for the width of the bin, the other for the width of the spacing within the boss. So that's going to go ahead and get those variations set up. Next, I'm going to go to the Suppression tab because I want to take my eye feature and create an option where I can compute it or suppress it. That means turn it on or turn it off. I'm going to go to the Other tab, and I'll go ahead and click on Add Value and create a new column called Color. With that column added, I'll right-click on the column name, and I'll make it an Appearance column. And this will put a color wheel next to it and let Inventor know that I'm going to call to the Appearance library and select a color. And I'll go ahead and call this one Cyan. I'll right-click on the number 1 for the row, choose Insert Row and add one more column, leaving the member and part number alone, but I'm going to double the values for width from 105 to 210, and from 70 to 140 millimeters. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color from cyan to yellow to create my color variations. I'll go ahead and accept this, and we can see what we've done so far. If I look at my browser, we've got a table added, and then we've got a variation for blue, and then yellow, that's wider. So that's our first variation. Next, we're going to add two more variations, the same width and the same color, but these are not going to have the bosses in them. Those are going to be removed. Now I could right-click on the table in the browser and edit the table and add the new variations here. But I can also right-click on the table and edit via spreadsheet. This will open up Excel, and I can take advantage of Excel's capabilities for everything for just generating new series, for using calculations if I'm going to use calculations. So for the member name and part number, I'm just going to drag two new variations in, and Excel will go ahead and increment those up, adding 3 and 4. For the width and the eye feature boss width, I'll go ahead and copy and paste, and I'm going to add those two variations with the same dimensions in there, and do the same thing for the color. For the eye feature computation, I'm going to type the word suppress, copy and paste that, so I now have those bosses turned off in this variation. I'll save this and close the Excel chart. Inventor will think a little bit, but once it completes, we'll go ahead and see those two variations add in, and I can choose those, and we can see that it goes ahead and adds in those two variations without the bosses. So just like that, we've gone ahead and created 4 variations of size, color, and feature suppression computation. Now, let's go ahead and place that iPart in assembly so we can see how it behaves here. I'm going to place my component like I would any component, and I'll choose that iPart to place in. But now when I open it, Inventor's going to show me the variations I can place, and I can choose a variation and drop it onto the screen, and Inventor will insert that variation. I can choose different variations and keep placing as many different variations as I want. And once that's done, they can be assembled just like any other part. So there we can see I've quickly placed all 4 variations, and I could go ahead and put them in an assembly and continue to use them and take full advantage of what that iPart can do for me. Finally, I'm going to take my iPart and I'm going to place it on a drawing. Now placing on the drawing is nearly the same as I would any other view. I can go ahead and choose the file. On the Model State tab, I can choose which iPart variation I'm going to place on the screen. I'll choose the first one, and I can then place it on the screen like I would any other view. Now I show these variations on the screen, and I'm going to put a dimension to show the bin width. However, this time, I'm going to edit that value. I'm going to hide the value and type in a new one and just call it bin width, because we're going to add a table that'll show that this bin width can vary and what variations are in there. So now to add that table, I'll go to the general table icon, choose the bin I'm going to base that table on, go to my column chooser, and I'm going to remove member, but I'm going to add color, bin width, and the iFeature name for the suppression and computation. And then I can move them up and down to reorganize them and get them to look the way I want them to. With those items added, I'll go ahead and hit OK. And then go ahead and hit OK one more time to place that table on the list. And here we can see the part number, the width, the iFeature, and then the color. But I don't like the header names for the bin width and the iFeature computation suppression, so I'm going to change those. I'll do that by right-clicking on the table and hit Edit. Then I'll right-click on the bin width and choose Format Column. So now I can see the heading, but it's grayed out. I can't change it. To allow me to change it, I'm going to uncheck Name from Data Source, and now I'll go ahead and rename it, it's lit up now, to bin width. I'll repeat those steps, right-click and Format Column, uncheck Data Source for the boss suppression. Hit OK, and that will rename that item as well. Completing, I'll go ahead and hit OK, and I can even go in and drag the compute suppression column a little wider so the words fit in. But we can see how I've created the table, added the variations, created a dimension that shows where the bin width is, and then renamed the column headers to make them look the way we want them to look. So there we go, creating the iPart, placing it quickly into an assembly, and putting it on the drawing. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. We'll see you in the next AMA.